Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for inviting me and having me here. So to start off, I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm more, more being a career consultant and an entrepreneur at best. So I think I'd start probably by sharing, what I've done till date. Maybe hoping to give you some perspective on my journey, and also happy to take any questions on anything that you believe is relevant from my work where I can probably add value to your entrepreneurial ambitions. So I like the introducer said, I graduated in 2003 as a Bachelor of Engineering in Electronics and Telecommunication. Finally, a project on security, microcontroller based access control systems took me to IT security. 2003 was early days, internet was new, it was easy to break into websites, and that was very exciting. So I started my career as a cyber security consultant, spent about 2 years in a startup, and that was great because you could do everything in a startup. One day you were working for the company, breaking websites of clients. It was gloriously in those days called being an ethical hacker, so to say. Another day you were building proposals, third day you were making presentations. So the startup really was a great experience. I always say a very early experience in startup teaches you many things that many years of work otherwise won't. So about 2.5 years, I moved to SIFI, continuing to be a cybersecurity consultant, and then to Ernst & Young, where I spent the next 10.5 years working across India, Europe, and the Middle East. Within Ernst & Young, I was part of a few entrepreneurial journeys, as you would say. In 2007, Ernst & Young was setting up what was then called a telecom and new media team. Technology in media entertainment was new, and we were working with cutting-edge technology such as IPTV and what is today known as satellite TV or direct-to-home. So I worked back with some of the earliest companies in the IPTV space in India, some of the earliest direct-to-home TV providers like Tata Sky, Airtel Digital TV, Bharat Business Channel, which is Videocon DTH, and a bunch of channels. Spent time also working with some of the leading telcos on improving their revenue and profitability, particularly understanding problems around billing and how to make them more effective. Then I think came a very big opportunity to set up the office of Ernst & Young in Kerala in 2011. So while Ernst & Young has had a 15-year presence in Kerala, that has mostly been on the back office side. The consulting arm was set up in 2011. I moved here, spent 5 years building relationship with corporates, understanding the business, and building out some of our largest accounts in Kerala. Subsequently, I moved to Uber in 2016, May 2016, and the last year and a half has been building Uber in Kerala. I lead all of Kerala, so we're currently operating in Kochi, which is going to complete 3 years on 24th of November. We're less than a week from 3 years. We operate in Trivandrum, which is about 2.5 years old as operations, and a couple of months back we launched Thrissur. So I think talking more on the Uber journey, it has been an extremely exciting journey. For Uber, for its multi-billion-dollar valuation, still it's considered the world's largest startup. We still work in a fairly decentralized and independent model where we are encouraged to take local decisions and local risks, and are accountable for success and failure of those decisions. Giving you some perspective of what that means. I don't know, some of you, are you familiar with a product called Uber Hire? Has anybody used it? Anybody heard of it? So Uber Hire was a product, so Uber operates in at 633 cities across 79 countries last when I checked. Uber Hire was a product that we conceptualized and launched first globally in Kochi, right? And that was a great learning experience because if you look at Uber, all our products are a point A to point B solution, right? You board the car at point A and you get off the Uber at point B. And when we operated in Kerala market, as we began to grow and reached a certain threshold, we realized that there is a lot of unmet demand in terms of being able to hold the car, what was traditionally the taxi rental business, as well as the ability to service long distance travel, right? In those two segments, Uber was not at all in. Now, the challenge was our product stack was never built with these complexities in mind. So the team hustled and got together, looked at our tech platforms, and sort of worked our way through, our complex operational systems and build this product to launch first. So it's a global first, India first product launch that we had in Kochi, and it's now operational in 5 cities. Last I checked, I think we should be in all our cities in India in the next 2 months, and less than a year, it's become a great success. That's something that is like a poster that India carries around, telling the world that okay, we have a local product that's sort of built and scaled out of a city in India. So I think that's broadly the things that I look back and feel great about. Other than that, building Uber has been a very exciting journey. I'm sure you've heard enough about all the good things and the bad things that we've gone through. But I think broadly, I think Uber taught me resiliency. Uber taught me, how to look at a consumer. So I didn't, when I started Uber, I had not really worked on the consumer side. I was more a B2B guy, right? So if you're a consulting guy, you work with other big companies. So you deal with leadership, you deal with other companies, CXOs, CTOs, CIOs, CFOs, CEOs, but you don't really deal with end consumers. So Uber was my first experience in dealing directly with end consumers. And I saw, and suddenly it was like, okay, the complexity just explodes, right? Because you can't suddenly very easily personalize the relationship in a big business. When you're dealing with every company's, say 4 to 5 key individuals that you need to work with, right? And it's extremely easy to sort of customize that relationship, understand what your client stakeholder needs and build it for them. Whereas when you're suddenly on the B2C side, in Kochi specifically, we have a couple of lakh customers who are registered, right? So suddenly you would want to service each of them with the same rigor and quality that you would give on the B2B side. And that's an extremely challenging, task at hand. So I think a couple of things I learned. Think scalability from day one, right? Whatever you do, whatever you build, whatever you plan, don't think how will you manage the first 10 customers, right? Think how will you do 1,000 customers, 10,000 customers, 1,000,000 customers, right? Can you do all of this the way you're building the product or solution when you have 1,000,000 customers using it, right? The other thing is keep it as simple, as possible. When we launched Uber Hire, we realized everything from the customer understanding of the word hire to, how do we sort of explain the value proposition of a product that does not exist. I think these challenges taught me that the simplicity of communication is extremely critical, right? Unless people understand it very quickly and are able to absorb it, you're just elongating the life cycle of success, and the longer it takes to be successful, the probability sort of decreases that it will be successful. I think last but not the least, the other thing that Uber taught me is that extreme focus on automation, right? You want to build anything scalable, successful in the 21st century. Extremely high degree of focus on automation, right? We are a team of 8 full-time employees and about 30 contractors that manages this business about 3 cities with a couple of thousand cars and a couple of lakh riders who take trips every day. So extremely high focus on automation. Everything that we do at Uber, we focus on saying, can this be automated? Can this be done by a system? Our entire onboarding process on the driver's side, we have no paperwork, right? It's a paperless office. Any paper in the office is something that is transient. All our driver records, all our trip records, everything is e-enabled, right? And what that does is it saves us a lot of space. It saves us a lot of time. It helps us use all technical means, from using technology to validate photographs, using technology to validate credentials, to on the consumer side on how do we automate as much of the rider support that we do and sort of continue to scale it. So I think that's I think one of some of my big takeaways from Uber. Happy to answer specific questions or any specific thing that you would want me to talk about as we progress. Thank you.